Here it is. Show me the money.
Look at I'm taking too long.
Back to the spot for a Glock. I took a loss over floss, but still got a knock.
Money! Jerry, does that make you feel good just to say that? Say it with me one time, Jerry.
Show you the money.
Oh, no, you can do better than that, Jerry. I want you to say it with meaning, brother. Hey, I got Bob Sugar on the other line. I better hear you say it.
No. Show you the money.
Not show you. Show me the money.
Show me the money.
Yeah. Louder.
Show me the money.
That's it, brother, but you got to yell that shit.
Show me the money.
I need to feel you, Jerry.
Show me the money.
Jerry, you better yell. Show me the money.
Look at all the lonely people. Look at all the lonely people.
Show me the money, and then Eleanor Rigby by Beatles. Seems pretty poetic. That's the two thought processes probably going through a lot of heads this week as some of the major signings in the NDLB happened, and a lot of teams are now scrambling to figure out who to replace him. Once again, it is Nick, and I'm here to talk with you this week about the winners and losers so far. Look over the off-season center. I'll randomly pick a team that could use some players, and we'll discuss, I guess, the top free agents left, because even though a heck of a lot of money was spent this week, let me see the exact number, $665 million total. There's still some monster free agents out there, and there's still a lot more money to be spent. So let's begin. The big signings of the week were Juan Carlos Gamboa, 7-year, $143 million deal to Indianapolis to join the Caucasians. When asked, Gamboa said he was excited to bring Indianapolis from the depths of hell and hopes to bring them to the playoffs sooner than later. They've had a pretty solid offseason, adding Gamboa and a couple other pieces, I believe. I believe I've seen their names in the signings, and good on them. The second biggest signing and the third biggest signing were a pair, as San Antonio went all in on Carlos Correa and Juan Cintron, giving them 7-127 and 7-107 respectively. That dynamic duel just pretty much sealed San Antonio's fight for the playoffs, potentially even winning their division. Yeah, especially if Dillonville is down this year, Richmond's going to be average. Yeah, well, not average, but yeah, with these two additions to the San Antonio squad, they now have a pretty solid 1-2-3. Their back end could use some work. They got two mega bats. Yeah, they should be able to compete, get 70 wins. Maybe not make the playoffs this year, but in second or third year, if they continue to spend like they are, the sky's the limit for this team. But yeah, they spent the most money this week at $274 million. That's over 7 years, but that's also $33 million annually on two players. It's worth it, and the compensation that they're going to give up is a second and a third, which isn't exactly that big of a deal when you compare value to these players who are going to give them both 7 solid years. You don't have to worry about much of a drop-off, hopefully, and they're lefties, which are harder to come by. A lot of teams are scrambling because of it, myself included. I felt like that Miami had Carlos Varela in the bag, and I was getting ready to bring him out in the press conference, and he called us last minute and said he was going to San Antonio. Not much you could do. We just had to respect the process. He wanted a little too much, and you know what? He got it. The big signing, that's the heartbreaker for me, though, is try to keep it on the low, is Juan Torres, who went to LA for 4 years and $76 million. I could live with the other guys leaving because they were going to the other side, the NL, so I didn't really have to see them much. But this guy I'm going to have to face 19 times a year. Probably the most underrated signing at $19 million for 4 years only. He's 30 years old. He's up there in age, but now you got him from 30 to 34 where he'll be unstoppable. And he's worth the $19 million. And when he's done, you have the choice of re-signing him for a couple of years or letting him go. It's a no-lose type deal, and I'm really stressing out how good LA is going to be going forward. They're the number 3 team spending-wise this week at $130 million. Most of it on Juan Torres, but that wasn't their only signing. They also spent $24 million on starting pitcher Dan Becker to help booster their already playoff roster. And they're definitely going to be strong going forward. Moving on, the next big signing was Willie McCoy. Let me just check him because he might have been an extension. I'm not 100% sure, so bear with me. Vandal McCoy. Yeah, he came from Houston. Pretty strong signing. 29 years old, turning 30 soon. So you get him from 30, 31, 32, 33, and you got a couple team options on there. So, I mean, this deal is no complaints. You get him for 4 years minimum. 6 years if you want to spend the whole time, and it's a pretty solid number. He had a 3.9 WAR last year, 4.2, 4.3 before. He had a 1.7 in there, but if you look at the other numbers, it seems like that's just an outlier. So I expect some good numbers from him. Good signing by Hillsborough. Definitely making an impact this offseason. I can see them making a run for the NL White pennant, or title, whatever they call it. I had a brain fart there. Even though Alabama, the champs, are in their division. Let's check out their roster. Yeah, they're a strong team too, but yeah, they could definitely be taken. Not saying it's going to be easy. Yeah, Hillsborough's got a little ways to go, but with a little luck and momentum and all that stuff that people believe in, and heart and angels in the outfield, you can see them battling at worst to get a playoff spot. There's nothing wrong with that. Get that revenue up. They're willing to spend, and if they get more money, they'll keep spending. I have it mapped out. Just looking over the numbers here. Yeah, Hillsborough, they were the 14, 57 million. Yeah, he spent most of that on Willie McCoy, and then they added Larry Stevenson, the shortstop, for 2 years. Pretty strong signing. And then, okay, going to check out the offseason signing. Because there are still tons of names that are on this list that should have home soon. And it is February, which is usually around the month where they begin to sign. So I expect a lot of signings in the next few podcasts because I'm looking forward to talking about them. There's some names that are still at the top based on OTP. And just quickly shoot them off. Eric White, Buck Patterson, Scott Wright, Justin Hitchcock, Brent Martin, Phil Black, Pablo Esparza, Pierre Page, Duckman, Dennis Garcia, Jimmy Hall, Javier Rodriguez, etc., etc. Now, of course, a lot of these guys have compensation, which means that most of you guys aren't going to give them a shot. But Scott Wright has no compensation. You could probably get him on a 1 year at $9.5 million. Brent Martin has no compensation, $11.5 million. Phil Black has no compensation. He's 31-year-old. It's because he got traded. Or no, he didn't get traded. He just wasn't offered it. But he only wants $7 million. He's a strong pitcher. No Pablo. He's done. No one wants to have Pablo, especially $9 million. Pierre Page, you could take a flyer on for 1 year and $5 million. And on the air, I'm going to lowball him, but maybe still start the talks. Yep, I have sent him an offer, so you heard it here first. Duckman has no compensation. Jerry taking L's Hall because he's pretty much a below average pitcher. 153 he wants $6 million a year. He's 36, so you give him a 1 year and watch it get some value by the end. Yeah, there's so many names. A lot of non-compensations. It must have been changing, or a lot of them have been signed. Looking at the off-season summary by team WAR value, the Toronto Aces are first at 7.7. This doesn't take into account international free agents, so you got to expect 3 or 4 added from each one of those because they're all going to be strong. Hillsborough at 5.5. Montreal's third with 5.3. San Antonio's fourth with 3.1. Boston's fifth with 2.9. Indianapolis is sixth with 2.8, but they also have Gamboa, so think about 6.8. So they're about second. Miami's at 2.5. Tampa's at 2.3. So Florida should be getting a little better. Oh yeah, Fort Orange is right underneath them at 0.3 to round out the only positive team. So Florida's starting to take a turn into the positives when it comes to entertainment because it's been a rough couple of years there. I miss the days of Fort Orange and Miami battling in the playoffs, but Fort Orange had to become terrible. So what can you do? I guess when I'm not just giving them elite pitching for free, picks that I screwed up, so pretty much free. I'm going to look at Port Orange now because they're on my mind. They're going to be the team that I tell you guys that they could use a couple players. And, they can definitely use a couple players. Look at their pitching. What they need to do is bring Fat D up. It's the worst name. Tried to claim him, but thankfully he put him on the secondary roster. There was a time where I traded for this guy and Gail Trevino, but Trevino said no to that. Good thing I didn't because he lost all of his stamina and went from an elite starter to what's going to be an elite closer. If I was AJ, I would definitely be... That's why he's 4 months away. But when he is healthy, I would be bringing him up because this guy has closer setup material, and even with the injuries, you don't have to worry about him starting as much. And looking at his numbers, 9, 8, 12 Ks per 9, like his walks per 9 isn't ideal, but he's going to get better. So I mean, at first chance, I would be bringing him up as a closer, strengthen that pen. He doesn't. His elite talent based on OOTP is also young, so he has to just kind of ride the wave this year. So assuming that he's going to do that, yeah, his roster is okay, but it's not ideal. And unfortunately, he's handcuffed by the Austin Anderson deal because there's no, for some reason, he doesn't want to waive his no trade when offered, and he could find himself in a much better situation. And what's crazy is at $26 million, he is worth every single penny of it. So I mean, it's not like he's not worth the value, and it sucks for Port Orange because you could get a king's ransom for him. They can't really do anything because of it. Bruce McCutcheon's up there in age 33. Roberto Garcia's 35. Alfonso Cano's 33. If I was AJ, I would be hoping that none of these guys. Oh God, Bruce has 10-5. Can't do much with him. Garcia has 1, 2. Oh, she's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, he has 10-5 too, so you could turn anything down. Cano has no, he doesn't have 10-5, so you could get rid of Cano. Xavier Henry, which is like an old basketball player's name. He has no, yeah. So it's like I would be trying to push some of these away and getting some prospects, strengthening that pool, and just making a run in like 2 to 3 years. But what do I know, right? And he'll just chirp me anyways by giving his opinion because AJ's bitter. But that's all right. He's like 8-time champ, so he can cuss me out from time to time. I'll allow it. Sorry about the voice there. But yeah, Port Orange, they're interesting. I plan on during spring training, 4 weeks. Most teams will be built by then. I felt like if I did if I did some previews of each team, it would just, then every 2 weeks, one day, it would just, I'd fall behind, or people would like sign with teams quickly, and your rosters would be built. So I think during spring training, one second, I'm just gonna open up here. Sorry for that noise. Like 4 weeks of spring training, so I'll probably do like 8 teams, or I'll try to do like 2 divisions a day, and I'll speak about the season that's coming up and how I feel each team will do to make these a little more interesting. Right now, I'm just kind of shooting the shit with you as I tell you every day. That's fine, because so far it seems like people enjoy hearing it, and I don't mind talking. So long as my voice don't give out, I'll just keep speaking. Problem is I don't know what to talk about, and I keep asking, but no one really says anything. So I guess what I'm doing is all right. Random thoughts I come up, like the whole, that intro and stuff. But when I think of things that I could do consistently, especially when the season starts, I feel like this will be a lot more entertaining. I'll try to get people on once I figure out how to like Skype and record. Yeah, once I know how to Skype and record, I'll bring people on. Maybe have a second voice so I can bounce off each other and stuff and chirp you guys. Maybe I'll get Shell on. Then again, he doesn't know how to use a computer, so that's doubtful. But yeah, carrying on. What was next? We've already spoke of the top free agents in the off-season center. Teams that could use some players. All right, I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna write these down too, to see if they come true. I'll pick some names near the top. And I'm gonna project where I think they go. Now I pick guys who are younger because that's what I. All right, so Buck Patterson. I'm gonna say. I have no idea where he goes, so I'm gonna say he ends up on Orange County, just because they're shopping a catcher. So why not? Now, I'll probably do pitching because that's easier to do, and I don't know exactly your guys' offenses. So Phil Black, the pitcher, I think he's gonna stay in the NL. And Las Vegas is going to scoop him up. I think Dillonvale has to make some signings, and they're going to have to look at value and price. So they're going to go on Paul Bishop for a year. And they might try to get Anthony Cash just at the 2.6 mark, something super, 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 super cheap. And maybe they can take advantage of it. I see Miami, speaking for myself, getting one of their former players back who's controversial in the eyes of OCD. And if not, addressing that infield for sure. maybe getting a back end pitcher because of Michael Allen not exactly being what I expected him to be. So I definitely need some insurance. And him coming out of the pen isn't exactly a complaint either. Ideally, I'd like to get Joe. What's his name? Joe Hawkins? Yeah, Joe Hawkins. I'd ideally like to get him in the pen as well because I think he's all right as a starter, but the amount of lefty relievers in this league, and then I could have two pretty solid ones in my opinion. Can't complain about that. Jesus has overtaken Brad Tubbs for closer, as I expected. Tubbs knew coming in on a one-year deal that he probably wasn't going to close, but he'll see some time in the get those much-needed saves that he barely ever gets. But I'll make sure I get him in some games. Jeff Edwards, middle relief. Yeah. God, my offense is awful though. Bernal is going to be that guy that makes me get chirped all the time for being anti-defense and then having this guy who's otherworldly defensively. But it's alright because he's so good defensively that I'm going to put some horrible people beside him and hope he just calls them off and makes the catches. Floyd Norris, I can't wait to prove Shelltown wrong on this one because, oh boy, is he getting better. Every single year. He might not be the 78 I thought he was when I traded Satoshi Mori for him, but he is elite defensively as well in a position I can live with my shortstop and my center fielder and my catcher being the plate as so long as they're strong defensively, and all three of my positions last year there were strong, so I can live with that. And I hope that eye picks up a bit, but if it doesn't, it's not the end of the world because he has plus power at shortstop. No. I just gave you a little Miami preview in the process of all this. So I need to. Can't wait to call up all these guys in the minor leagues. You guys are so done in a couple of years when they all come up. Marquez, Salazar, Bernard, Wade, Gonzalez, Wang. Workman got a nice little boost for me. I like that. Workman just went up. He's like, I'm just going to keep working like my name says. And I was like, all right, I'll allow it. Look, he is Mr. Normal. Everything's normal except for his desire to win is very high. And I can take that. So he's just a normal dude from Arkansas who just wants to win. And I want to win too, so come on in. And he throws 97 to 99 miles an hour. Jeez. Thomas Stanford throws that. He needs to pick it up a bit. He's starting to become a scrub. My first round pick I thought was going to be super good. This year, 5th overall, it's going to be a scary pick. So what else can I talk about? You know what? I'm going to look over something. I want to see something. I want to see the minor league rankings since they're now fluid, I suppose is the word, and they change on the fly. I don't know if they've taken into account last year's draft picks yet, though, because I'm not sure. I'll check some. No, I don't think any of these guys. And all these people are traded, so I would never know. I think they haven't taken those into account yet, so everyone post that or pre that, which is fine. So number 1 is Bobby the Natural Adley, who of course gets traded from Shelltown to Dillonville in the shredding of shreddings, because once again Shelltown goes to win it all one year and doesn't. Now they have to sell. But he's going to be really good defensively, and he's going to be a beast. Number 2, oh, look at that, Alfonso Minor Torres, who's finally starting to pick it up for my my scout, but his control is still atrocious, to say the least, even though the OSA has him being a freak when it comes to control. But I don't believe that, because even at like 34 of 101, he wouldn't be having 5 BB a 9. I guess it'd still be high, but not that high. I think it would be like 4. His Ks are, like, whenever in doubt when you're looking at the stats, compare them to their actual numbers. If you got like a guy and your scout thinks he's low stuff and the OSA thinks he's high stuff and he has a low K, he's probably low stuff. Vice versa. If you see a guy with high walks and your guy thinks he has good control, well, your scout might be a little wrong. I noticed that recently. I might have had it a little wrong with the scouting because looking at percentages and stuff, I was scouting the wrong spots. So I adjusted the numbers, and it looks like it's changed a bit, and that's ideal. So. But I'm definitely going to back my scout's opinion anyways, because I've looked up some of his numbers, and he's only been on 2 teams, mine and New York, when Trendon was here. So he knows how to win, and I'm sure someone will make some chirp about that. But looking at his numbers, Like, in since 2018, only 6 times has his team not made the playoffs, and 4 of those were with me because I'm shit. But and most like, it's absurd, his record. I wish it would just like calculate the whole. Oh, he was on. Oh, he came from Boston too. That's when he didn't even qualify for 2. Was in like some USBL team. So the 4 times he didn't was with me, since from 2020, and that's like 25 years. He's a freak. He's just so good, and it sucks because now I keep trying to offer him an extension, but he wants to be a GM, which doesn't exactly help me because he's better as a. I have no interest in signing him. Yes, he has no interest in signing him. Breaks my heart. He's so good. $3 million. He's worth more than my players. I don't care though. I'd give him $10 million if he wanted. He's that good for me. Best signing I've ever made. I was getting over my team still because we were doing the we were doing the minor league rankings. So let's go to number 3, which would be Ken Chatty Foster on the Houston Alcoholics. He drafted this guy. All these guys at the top have no power. High contact, high avoid K. I never found the appeal for avoiding K over I. Because avoiding K is great and all, but if you make contact and you hit the ball into a double play, sometimes I'd much rather the guy just strike out than hit into a double play if I had to pick the lesser of 2 evils. Now you have a high I, you're raising your amount of walks. Now, you'd obviously want both, but I don't know. I just hear some people who obsess over avoid K. Also, gap power, I don't really care about that, but that one's good. If you have speed, you can get some doubles and triples. Yeah, Ken Foster will be a solid number 3. He'll definitely be coming up soon, it looks like. 23 years old. He should be called up this year, as he's already developed. In fact, he is called up. I'm an idiot. He played 6 games last year. Well, there we go. These things need to be updated. Now, go to number 4, Seattle, and Kunio Matsumoto. And he looks like he's going to be a stud too, and he should probably be called up. But I don't know what Seattle's doing this year in terms of their if they're committed to going for it. He is ineligible to be called up. He doesn't have to be called up, so they could sit him down there for 1 more year, but he should be on the roster. The only problem with him is his stamina is low, so you're not going to see many complete games from him, and they have him as a closer or a reliever anyways. Interesting. He could be a starter. Well, they know what they're doing. Let them do their thing. Number 5 on the list is Mike Flash Hoffman. Nice. He got traded from Boston, as all top prospects get traded from everywhere. And he is a beast. But he's developing a little slower than I'm sure Richmond would like, because at 22, turning 23, he only has half his control, half movement, and half stuff. His numbers are strong, though. Plus 142 ERA plus. Yeah, he'll be good. He can sit down there, I believe so. Yeah, he's Rule 5 eligible next year, so he'll probably be called up this year at some point. I'll just do the top 10, why not? 6 is David Hewitt, back with Seattle. They have some solid prospects, and they're ready to compete, which should be soon. This guy will be coming up as well. He's already started to progress. He's pretty much ready. The only thing he doesn't have yet is his eye, so he should be called up, and he's ready to play shortstop. Number 7 is Jose the Dopey One Murillo. Sorry, I almost screwed that one up. And looking at him, I believe he was signed as a minor. Oh, nice. He was found from. Oh, they hit the jackpot on this one. Dopey is a beast, but he's still a kid, so they have some time with him. His gap power is ready. His home run power is strong, but only at half. His eye's low. His void K's in the middle, and his contact's pretty strong, 6 out of 8. And looking at his numbers, he's starting to get it, but he can definitely spend a year or 2 down there, and they can keep working on his shortstop to make him. They can work on shortstop if they want to try to make him a dual position player. I wouldn't keep him in the outfield. Second base looks like it'd be the best spot for him. Number 8 is number 8 back to Seattle. These guys are ready. Another guy with low stamina. It could have been something, but is going to be stuck in the pen. It looks like. Unless he doesn't mind guys with low stamina, which isn't the end of the world. I think it's like over 25 or something like that. They can be a starter. Sorry, itchy leg. It's still itchy. Looking at stamina, yeah, they have him as he's coming out of the pen as well, but he has 4 pitches. Great stuff. Everything is 8. He could be so good as a pitcher if he just had a little bit more stamina. He must have suffered an injury or something like that. But looking at his numbers, he'll be in the pen, probably battling in the setup and closer role. They'll be scary in a couple of years if they piece the other spots together and get pitchers who can actually last more than 5 innings. Number 9 is Philadelphia's shortstop. Oh, look at that shortstop 2v duel down in Philly. They're ready to compete. Carlos Gutierrez. He's pretty solid across the board. Typical looking shortstop. Mid power, 5 out of 10 or 5 out of 8, whatever it is. Higher I, higher avoid K, near 8 contact and gap power. And looking at his numbers, they actually repeat those. His infield error is a little low, so he'll be not your ideal shortstop, but he'll still get it done. Elite range, that makes up for the errors, so at least he gets to balls that he shouldn't be able to get to. That could be key in key moments. And the 10th prospect is from Cincinnati via trade for sure with New England, and he's very unhappy. Tyrone Hawks. He should probably get the call up, even though his power is not there yet. His gap power and his contact's ready. His eye is pretty much set, and his avoid K is getting up there. I'm looking at the numbers in the minors. He's dealing. Switch hitter, too, eh? Oh. Let's see. He's better against right-hand pitching, too, so he's stronger lefty. Wow. That's a solid pickup. Let's see what he got traded for. This will be good. I have no idea. It doesn't say. Trade with New. Yep, we'll never know. I'm sure it was one of those players to be named later. And we'll never know because I'm not going to look at the history for that one. So that's it for today, I think. Tried to talk on as many topics as I could. We're only a couple weeks away from spring training where I can start making fun of people for their inept rosters and look at my own as I battle for 40 wins. So as always, if you like, hit the thumbs up, and I'm going to try and start saying this at the end just in case randoms hear it on the internet. It's an OOTP-based league using 17, and we're on a forum. If you're interested in joining, I don't know if we're completely full, but if we have spots, www.onlinedynasty.net/forum. And over there, it's a solid league. We've been here for 25 plus seasons, and I don't see us going anywhere anytime soon. So, this is Nick Wadden. Have a good day.